My name is Peter Berninger from AVShowrooms. This is a feature review of the Kronos Limited Edition turntable. This is a unique turntable. You've seen the design in our videos of the counter-rotational platters. Well, there's a history of that. How did that start? The turntable is designed by Louis Desjardins. Louis was a professional photographer, very much in the technology of photography, and an avid audiophile. Louis was reading an article in Stereophile several years ago, and it was discussing the effects on a suspended turntable of the torque force of the motor and the belt, and how it's unavoidable that a suspended turntable, like this, see it moving back and forth, it's suspended either underneath or sprung from above, like this turntable, is when that motor starts and pulls on the belt, there's a slight, unavoidable torque that affects the suspension itself. Many people believe that suspended turntables have broader, more expansive sound stages than non-suspended turntables. People postulate that the effects of the suspension are causing a little slight blurring of the detail, causing it to have a more pleasing and romantic image. Obviously, suspended turntables are very popular. The popularity of the Thorn's turntables, the Linn turntables. Many turntables out today utilize suspended designs. Mr. Desjardins, while reading the article, thought, that's right. For every force or action, there's a reaction. What if you had a counter-rotating platter directly beneath the main platter? Same dimension, same weight, same motors, but spinning in the opposite direction. Would that indeed cancel the effects of torque on a suspended turntable? Well, it didn't remain an idea for long. Mr. Desjardins built a prototype. He took it to Saint-Ambroise and showed it in static display. And then in CES 2012, he unveiled the working prototype of the Kronos Limited Edition turntable. It's had enhancements since then. In fact, we've updated the motor tower. The motors are by Maxos from Switzerland. They're a brushed DC design. Now, brush motors, very good for RF rejection and really good for reducing the back EMF, have a drawback. The brushes make contact with the armature of the motor. You will hear that. Mr. Desjardins' first set of motors from Maxos, you could hear. Then you get 2 feet away, you can no longer hear the brushes on the motors. Maxos began to work with Kronos on designing a quieter motor. The sole purpose being so you don't hear the motor when you're standing back from the turntable. A new set of motors was delivered last year to Montreal, to the workshop of Kronos. Mr. Desjardins installed the motors on the turntable and was mystified. The sound improved. The noise floor lowered. More detail came through in the presentation. The soundstage became more expansive. Effectively, the older motors were causing a little bit of a blur. I suspect in the lower frequencies. Now, the turntable we have under review here indeed utilized that old motor technology, and we live with it since November of last year up until August of this year. So we got a very good bead on the sound of this turntable. This turntable replaced the Triangle Art signature turntable. And as soon as we put the Kronos in the system, we felt more of an ease to the music, a much larger soundstage, far superior image specificity. It was almost master tape-like quality. Where on the other hand, the Triangle Art was a big, broad sound. More on that later. We'll talk about the sonic attributes of the turntable in part 3. Back to the motors. So we installed the new motors, and the change was startling. Again, quieter noise floor, blacker background, better image specificity, much more master tape-like. So this turntable in its current configuration, known as limited, and that's because of this is the older sandwich material technology. Now the sandwich material on the Kronos is a phenolic film. It's a mixture of phenol, an organic substance, with aldehyde. And when you mix phenol and aldehyde, it becomes sticky, and if you put it under heat and pressure, you can mold it. So it's been molded with type of, like a canvas fabrics, together to form an organic, sandwiched, man-made plastic. The advantages to this type of plinth material is it doesn't expand or contract due to heat or humidity. So changes in the weather and the environment will not affect changes of the superstructure of the turntable. And then when you add the sandwich material, aluminum, phenolic resin sandwich with canvas, and aluminum, it effectively dampens out and dissipates all vibration. The combination of the counter-rotating platters to cancel out the torque pull on the suspension, the new motors, and the ingenious sandwich material create the backbone of the turntable. The turntable, in addition, is sprung, so the top part of the turntable is really being hung from rubber bands, as you can see here. You can stand next to the turntable and jump up and down with the needle in the groove, and it won't move. That's due to the counter-rotational force of the second platter. I find this to be a huge advantage in this listening environment. We have suspended floors here. It's a great room. It's a great sounding room. But for turntables, you walk past it. For example, with the Triangle Arch Signature, when it was adjusted and the weight of the cantilever was set perfectly, you had to tiptoe around the front of the room, where you'd pick up, the floor would pick it up, and you could hear, you could have a little skippage. That does not apply here. This is the first turntable, suspended turntable, that I've had that I can effectively dance with my wife right next to it. That is a great accomplishment. Many reviewers put their turntables in different rooms. Tony Quartersmith keeps his turntable in a different room from his system for just that reason. You don't have to do that with the Kronos due to the effect of the counter-rotational platters, the suspended suspension, removing the turntable effectively from your listening environment. That is a great achievement. Okay, let's set the turntable up. Bill Parrish from GTT Audio was in to install the turntable. It's an hour job for an experienced professional. Your dealer will be setting the turntable up for you when you purchase a Kronos. Here we'll go through the setup. Once a turntable is set up, you install the arm of your choice. Kronos is the worldwide distributor for the Andre Terrio arms. He makes two arms, the long Black Beauty, and the shorter version, the Helena tone arm, manufactured also in Montreal, Canada. The arm is unique in that it has its pivot point is at the same level where the stylus touches the groove at the back of the arm. It is a unipivot. It's got a ball and a cup. Most of the mass of the arm is back at the end where the bearing sits in the ball, sits in the cup. This arm is made out of carbon fiber, and it's one of the most solid performing arms I've yet to use. Again, any tone arm will sound its best on a Kronos turntable. Mr. Desjardins thinks that this is his favorite arm. So we've used a test setup with the Andre Terrio arm. The system consists of a triangle art Zeus phono cartridge. There's a lower output cartridge, a 0.4 millivolt cartridge. That feeds into Tube Guru phono stage amplifier. The Tube Guru is a full function phono stage with volume pot and drives your power amplifiers directly. The cabling run from the Tube Guru over to the Gakuan audio note amplifiers is a run of Incline David. This is my current favorite cable. It has a good balance between musicality and detail, throws a big sound stage. There's nothing, it's not too dark, it's not too light sounding, it's not aggressive sounding, it just sounds like music. The power amplifiers, Gakuans, 45 watts per channel. These are reference statement amplifiers costing close to $250,000. The amplifiers are wired into the ANE signature loudspeakers from Audio Note. You'll see here that the signature speakers sit back against the wall, as all Audio Note speakers do. And they use the room kind of like as a horn and to help support the bass because the woofers are closer to the back wall. So again, ideally set up in corners. We don't have a corner on the right hand side, but we have the back wall. The support is perfect. It throws a huge soundstage because the room is part of the system. So the sonic signature that you hear in my voice, you're going to hear it through the system as well. Cabling again, Incline, long run of RCAs, unbalanced over to the Gakuans. The rest of the cabling is Audio Note silver wire. We do have a run of crystal piccolo from the back of the turntable into the phono stage. So we like the crystal piccolo because it's shielded and it's easy to work with and it bends and I can get it back in tight places. So it has specific purposes in my system. Again, I usually use it for the phono stage wiring. So let's do this. Let's listen up next. Let's listen to the system. I want you to hear the magic of the Kronos turntable. And then in clip 3, we'll talk about how the Kronos turntable sounds, how it fares against its competition, and my overall thoughts and observations and conclusions. Again in clip 3. So on to the music clip. Let's do some listening. Here we go. Listening sessions are next.